Hello, this is Oren Harris, aka Dr. White,
Yes, and this is Gabriel Dean, aka Dr. Black.
and we are the Truth Doctors, here to talk to you today about relationships and our special, unique brand of relationship healing. And one of the things that we say is that in the revealing is the healing. And truth, what we're calling truth, is not necessarily the truth, but actually what is. So there's two reference points that are happening in your life, period, but especially in relationships. There is the point of what is perceived to be and what seems to be, and then there's the point of what is. And one of the biggest challenges is knowing the difference between those two things. And because any solutions you have to any problems, your perception of the problem is dependent on those 2 points. So I think in this video series, we're going to constantly be referring to the truth as what is, because that is your point of power, and that is the point of lasting change. And in relationships,
It gets tricky. It gets really
tricky.
Really tricky, because both of you have to come to the place of agreeing on what is. And so if there's two perspectives or two realities playing out in this space, there is most likely some form of illusion going on in the relationship. So many times communication is not taking place because you're not starting from what is.
Right. You have to be in agreement of what you're even talking about in the first place. And I think that that's a real basic definition of communication. It's I feel something, I have a perception, a feeling, and I'm taking this internal feeling and putting it in words that accurately match what it is, and you're receiving it accurately matching what I'm actually feeling, not just what I'm saying, and there's some sort of acknowledgement. I mean, that is the basis for a powerful interaction.
Definitely. I feel once that has been agreed upon, then there's a starting cornerstone for building whatever relationship you're wanting to build.
For sure, for sure.
For surely the component of a solid communication between the two of you.
Yeah, and so I think the title of this series, or not the title, but the theme of this series, Relationship Illusions, is so prevalent because I think that's one of the things that we're really both highly skilled at, is spotting illusions and knowing the difference between truth and what is, or what's perceived to be. And since we're human beings with, mind, body, and spirit, there's a tremendous amount of influence that comes in from the mind, which the mind's not necessarily connected to truth. The mind's connected to perception and reality, and the mind's also very powerful and can influence reality, And so one of the first big areas I wanted to talk about, which is humongous and can actually revolutionize your life and definitely your relationships, is projections, and what a projection is and how that plays out in relationship.
Definitely. We've dealt with quite a few projections in our own relationships through our own experience, and have worked with several people on dealing with their own projections in relation to themselves and own projections in relation to their partners.
And so I guess a real basic, if there is a basic definition of a projection, is basically you have your consciousness, and your mind, body, spirit, everything that's happening internally inside you. You have all this infinite potential happening inside you, and that whatever it is that you're feeling experience of how you're experiencing the world and other people, you have all these different varying opinions of yourself, all these different varying identities of yourself, and when you feel like something's coming from outside of you and threatening you from outside, that's causing a feeling inside of you, it's because it's something that's actually inside of you. Because think about it, you're actually experiencing the feeling inside of you, but if you put the blame on the feeling outside of you, hence you're projecting it outside of you, and that you instantly put the solution to any problem on having to change something outside of you, which is temporary at best.
Right. It's definitely a faulty premise to start from.
Yeah, and I think we'll go deeper into projections in the next video, but just to say that is a humongous part of relationships. And anyone that's considering going into a new relationship, or even thinking about leaving a relationship, or has a major relationship problem, 99.9% of the time, probably more, there's some major projecting going on. And when you can take that projection and that energy back in here, even if it's not initially comfortable, you've empowered yourself and you actually can get back into truth and what is. And from that point, you can create and you can solve any problem. If you don't do that and you're projecting, you're only temporarily solving problems and digging yourself down a deeper rabbit hole of trying to figure out the source of where this actually started. And that, hence, that, I mean, that is the land of arguing right there. You know, you're basically saying this is the truth, and the person's saying no, this is the truth. You know, and in many cases, you're both off to some degree. The only truth people are usually observing is the truth they're looking at in the moment, saying, you said this, but then there's all this other baggage and this other meaning that gets projected onto the scenario. And so you, in order for that to you to even be able to effectively solve it, you have to be accurate. If you're not accurate, you're not even really solving anything. You know, so those secret, you know, those blow ups that come out of nowhere, you know what I mean? The things that catch you off guard, the reoccurring things, always contain some projection by one or both people.
So sorting through all of those is what the truth doctors do, and to bring it full circle, and so everybody's on the same page to start from what is. And I guess that's the theme of this video, is getting down to the core of what really is the only place to start from in relation to building a successful relationship.
Right. And the illusions, when you shine the light of truth on the illusions and you see what is, just simply by doing that and seeing what's real and what's not, that has a healing capacity in it already. And so in the revealing of the truth comes the healing of the problem, and therefore the expansion and the receiving of more of what you're wanting, whatever it is in a relationship. So,
which naturally gives yourself more love and more communication and more joy back into the relationship.
For sure. Cool. That's a good place to stop.